Welcome to the Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy story recap. It begins as Rubbermaid Man and his sidekick Chad visit a sacred place known as the Sanctuary to claim powerful swords. However, Chad, corrupted by evil, betrays Rubbermaid Man and attacks him. Rubbermaid Man eventually convinces Chad to give up the sword, and for whatever reason, he obeys. And from there, we reach a time skip. It changes to modern day, where Rubbermaid Man meets an individual who walks down into a secret base. Maybe by happenstance, maybe not. We'll never know. He's recruited as Plastic Boy. Yes, we never actually learn the characters' real names. Plastic Boy marches into the battle training arena, and does splendid. He surpasses Chad's training in a mere matter of minutes. Rubbermaid Man is so confident in Plastic Boy's training that he immediately takes him to get the super swords, otherwise known as super weapons. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy from there have a small duel and a small conversation about the Chihuahua Gang themselves, revealing that Chad was meant to be a great, noble hero alongside Rubbermaid Man and fight the Chihuahua Gang. However, being corrupted by them, he joined their side and has been evil ever since. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy charge forth. They know they have to stop Chad before he can do something even more evil. And they fight him and win. And then they have to prepare for the revenge of Chad. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy, the revenge of Chad begins with Chad seeking out the 5 forever darts. So we think. Seeking those out, he will look to gain infinite power and be able to overpower our great noble heroes, Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy. However, Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy know that Chad is evil and doing evil things, and they know that they have to stop him. So when he comes for his revenge, they lose. And then Chad accomplishes his goal temporarily of getting the darts. What's he going to use the darts for? Who knows? It's not answered in this film. What we do know, however, is Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy cannot beat Chad if they don't figure out how to unlock a power known as the Super Air Force ability. A powerful power that allows Chad to appear to move objects with some sort of Air Force ability. Using just his mind. Using some sort of Air Force ability. Somehow, they learn this at the Sanctuary. Very efficiently, mind you. And they train this skill in order to confront Chad once and for all and end his reign of terror, stopping Chad and stopping his revenge on them by revenging his revenge. However, Chad, although appearing to be dead, is not dead, and somehow Plastic Boy turns evil temporarily, and then Rubbermaid Man cures him, and then they go fight Chad again. And this time, their revenge on his revenge of the revenge on the revenge of Chad is finally done, and they kill Chad once and for all. In Rubbermaid Man vs. Plastic Boy, Rubbermaid Man faces off against Plastic Boy in a duel. Plastic Boy is upset with the name Plastic Boy, as he feels that it diminishes him and it makes him seem weak, when in actuality, it doesn't. It makes him sound like the sidekick, even though he wants to be the main kick. Rubbermaid Man, being kind of like, rude and all, decides to make fun of him for this fact. A battle strikes up between the two. They verse each other in a Rubbermaid Man versus Plastic Boy fight. This fight lasts for a period of time, lasting around 15 minutes in length. They battle, both sides gaining the upper hand at other different points in the fight, eventually leading to Plastic Boy gaining the complete upper hand, and Rubbermaid Man eventually reaching a compromise where he says that Plastic Boy will still remain Plastic Boy, but He'll give him more power in his decisions. It's no longer a Rubbermaid Man dictatorship. It's a Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy democracy. And then they do the Macarena. In Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy Forever Fight, Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy are faced with a brand new threat that they've never seen before on screen. They're faced off with Rubbermaid Man's old foe, Chihuahua Gang Brad, who just so happens to be the twin brother of Chihuahua Gang Chad. What are the odds? Chihuahua Gang Brad knows there's something up, and he seeks out the 5 darts that Chihuahua Gang Chad previously lost in the duel. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy, knowing their importance, just left them on the ground. Of course. But Brad knows something Chad didn't. He knows there's 6 darts. But Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy also know there's 6 darts, and they know they have to get that dart and stop Brad from getting the dart. But then Brad attacks them, and they win to make Brad retreat. But Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy then have a small fight again, and then they just leave the 6th dart that they had in their base unattended, and then Brad shows up and takes it while it's being left unattended in their base. He takes it back to his base to do some research. Whilst doing research, he discovers that there's one way that he can use the mystical 6 Forever Darts to eliminate 1/3 of the universe's population. The sacred Whip Nene technique. Unfortunately, Brad doesn't really know how to bust a move very well, so he struggles at the beginning to pull off the Whip Nene. This leads to Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy having just barely enough time to realize that the dart has gone missing because they left it unattended, and get to Brad and try and stop him before he pulls off the Whip Nene. Using all their power that they possibly can, Brad wins by pulling off the Whip Nene and taking away 1/3 of all life on Earth. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy know that something has to be done. They need to bring these people back. They know they must build something, a device that can take them across the universe, not just the universe, the multiverse, to find more darts, to bring them to their universe, and to Whip Nene everyone back in existence. In Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy Final Match, it's the final movie of Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy Phase 1. This is a big battle. This is the longest film in the franchise to date, sitting at just over half an hour long, with only 10 plus minutes of black screen during warp time. That's not confirmed, it's just a random number. Could be more, could be less. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy build a device. They share credit for it, even though Plastic Boy built the entire device. However, they use this device as a team to search across the multiverse, seeking out other Forever Darts in order to bring them back home into their own universe and undo the Whip Nene by Whip Nene again. Eventually, they find Plastic Boy's old blue sword in one of the other universes. For whatever reason, Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy seem to think they can't see other versions of themselves. Rubbermaid Man must think it's time travel or something. It's not. It's multiverse travel. It's completely different. However, that's not discussed. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy go across several universes, coming across several versions of themselves and the Chihuahua Gang. But they don't get seen by the other ones because they don't want to disrupt the timeline or anything, even though it's multiverse, not time travel. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy they see the explorers that can break the fourth wall. Rubbermaid Man sees a version of him where he's Plastic Boy, and he gets a little weirded out by that. He's like kind of uncomfortable watching Plastic Man and Rubbermaid Boy talk about some sort of battle that they're about to have. Rubbermaid Man feels odd, so he gets out of that universe pretty quick. Eventually, they find all 6 darts, with the final dart having been found in the sanctuary in their own universe. This is because of an unexplained thing that happened in Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy Forever fight, where after the darts have been used, after a brief period of time off screen, the darts travel around their own world, setting up in random spots to hopefully never be found again. So, multiverse travel is easier than finding all 6 in your own universe, because it's convenient for the plot. Anyways, Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy undo the Whip Nene. However, a Chad from one of the realities they stole a dart from comes to their universe and attacks them. In this great battle, this 7-minute long battle, they fight with their lives on the line, the lives of their universe on the line. Chad even questions if he can win. However, at the end of the day, Rubbermaid Man must sacrifice himself. He must enter the device and save all reality. After they've brought the darts back, they undid the Whip Nene. Everyone is back, even though that's not actually confirmed. Rubbermaid Man takes the darts into the device, never to be seen again. Where will Rubbermaid Man end up? What happens to Plastic Boy next? Let's find out in Phase 2. It's been 4 years since this movie released, and Plastic Boy: A New Beginning still remains the only movie in Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy Phase 2. It follows Plastic Boy, who's upset about Rubbermaid Man being gone. And there's the new leader of the Chihuahua Gang is revealed. Chihuahua Gang Chelsea. She's actually been the leader the whole time. She's just been off screen and let her minions serve in battle. However, this time, now that Rubbermaid Man's gone, she knows she has to step in to try and defeat Plastic Boy, since now there's only one hero to stop them. She develops a revival belt that if she whips Brad with a belt, he comes back to life. Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy killed Brad at the start of Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy final match. And he's in a completely different position now and not decayed. But he's back in Plastic Boy: A New Beginning, thanks to this revival belt. They track down Plastic Boy and destroy his base and fight him. And Plastic Boy, being angered by this, tracks them down and fights them again and loses in the sanctuary. But then he fights them a 3rd time, this time using the power of the memory of a friend to defeat them. He takes out Chelsea. Chelsea's not dead. Chelsea's severely weakened. And Brad rides off into the sunset to flee, as he's very, very angry about the potential for Chelsea's demise at the hands of Plastic Boy. What will be seen of this? We'll never know on screen. This is the Rubbermaid Man and Plastic Boy complete story recap before the new things come out.